on my way home from work today, I popped into the big shop to get myself some bread, which I knew I needed because I wanted a fish finger sandwich, which I had, which was very good. And I got a bottle of wine, which I spent much too long choosing, and then drank much too quickly. And I bought a new cistern block for the toilet. And I went to the till and I put this bottle of wine, this small loaf of bread, and this huge cistern block, which has made the toilet water go extremely blue, as you may have noticed. And I thought, this is just a weird thing. This just looks like a weird combination. And then someone joined the till behind me, and she had the biggest bottle of cheap Napoleon brandy I've ever seen in my life, and the biggest bottle of fairy liquid I've ever seen in my life, and that was it. It's like, if you tried to make these into slice of life stories, it's like, what does this man who just buys bread and wine need to really clean toilet for?
Perhaps that person had the biggest backlog of washing up ever. The only way they were going to tackle it was by just getting really drunk.
You could neck an entire bottle of brandy first.
I was going to get really drunk, and then I was going to nail all that washing up.
Or get so drunk that I forget about the washing up. Just leave the big bottle of fairy liquid there.
Yeah.
It was one of those, just one of those little moments, slice of life.
Yeah.
Slice of life. Anyway, it's a bonus episode, and we'll have a little look at our book covers, because we've all got a different edition this time, haven't we? So
yeah. Did we last time? I know that's happened before, maybe.
It's, well, that would involve me having listened back and checking, but I'll leave that to the fans. I've got the one of the Penguin UK editions, and mine, nice and crinkled as it is, it's the sequence with the 87th Precinct badge on the front of it, and they always have a cityscape in the background, and this time it's just got a high-powered rifle. Excuse me.
That's part of the,
so
part of the action.
That's part of the plot there, so that makes sense. It's set in a city. It's the 87th Precinct. Someone gets shot with a high-powered rifle. Whether this is the right type of rifle, I do not know. Morgan's got... Oh, you've got that weird publisher, haven't you?
It's the Alison and Busby again. Not...
Alison Steadman and Busby Barclay together at last.
Indeed, yes. Not as terrible as my last one, which was some kind of dreadful, sort of very early 90s edition. The
Dayglow one.
Oh, it was awful. This is the 2009 edition. I think for some reason this publisher just got the rights to publish the Killers series, so all the ones that begin with the word killer were published by them.
And they don't have them now as well. I did check. They still exist as a publisher, but they don't have any Ed McBain.
No, I think just for a little while they published those ones. And they've gone for the white cover with a big stack of money.
Yeah. Well, money's involved in the book.
Money
so
is definitely
that
involved.
At least is, it's got the ring of truth, verisimilitude.
Yeah, fair play to them. That they've picked out one element and they've run with it.
They could have actually put on the cover of probably every single book, because at some point money's mentioned in all of them, or it's a part and parcel of it.
This is true, good work, Alison and Busby. You've really earned your paycheck there.
Yeah, Alison Hannigan and Busby. The motto of who was it? Like the cartoon
Dempsey Makepeace.
What? They used to, was it like TSB was the Griffin character, when in the 80s? Was that called Busby, or was Busby the one for the BT? Oh,
I don't even know. I was assuming that it was Alison, Janney, and Matt Busby of former Man United manager fame. But
definitely that sounds more likely than a cartoon character for an advert that I can't remember. It's a celebrity couple. And Steve-O's edition, which he's just been taking a little whiff of, as is his wont.
I quite like to have a bit of a smell.
I'm going to have a smell of mine.
I've got the 1987 Penguin.
Oh, good vintage.
Yeah.
UK, Great Britain edition. Yes, with a 3 $100 bills and a bit of cheese on a mousetrap and a cheeky little mouse appearing on the right hand side there.
You're not a fan of cheese, did you? So
well, no. So that trap wouldn't trap me.
No, you wouldn't be caught
But it's got nice silver Ed McBain.
Oh, it
quite
does,
a,
yeah.
Yes,
I think I've got a few of these. Of
Yeah,
this,
I've got a few of that
edition, and they're
edition.
quite garish.
I
But
don't think
quite...
I've got any of those shiny ones. I feel a bit cheated.
Oh, it's like when you get a shiny sticker in a sticker pack. And it's like, yeah.
It's like when you had the Panini football sticker albums, and then the club.
Oh yeah, the club badge.
Sticker was always a shiny silver one,
Absolutely.
like metallic affair.
I haven't done very well on my Ed McBain Panini album.
No, I'm still trying to get Pete Burns.
Pete Burns. Yeah. Family Scene,
So, yeah,
rare,
I'm-
limited
I'm-
edition sticker.
And despite its age, 30 years old this year.
Yeah.
Moderate smell,
Moderate smell.
like fairly innocuous to moderate.
Innocuous to moderate. This
Nice.
is like...
4 out of 10. Well, 3 out of 10 to be fair.
Oh, right.
3.5 out of 10 smell.
Well, it's better than the absolutely new, sort of almost chemically crisp paper
Yeah.
thing.
Rubbish.
It's, yeah. Well, there we go. We've smelt our books for you on the podcast again, which is just amazing audio to listen to.
Podcast
Well.
gold.
It's, yeah.
The original cover for the pocket books Perma Books edition has the little tagline: "Detective Cotton Hawes tackles a new case of ... blackmail and double murder.
Double moida.
Moida. Killer's Payoff." And the image on the front of that is, I presume it's supposed to be Lucy Mencken and Cotton Hawes, or the blackmailer, it's hard to tell, someone holding a letter and slightly obscured, what they call a cheesecake photo of...
Have you got it there?
Yes, you can have a look at it
Oh,
there.
let's see.
Oh my lord, look at that.
They're great, those painted ones.
Oh, they're cracking those, aren't they? Yeah.
They're always a weird scene choice, but, because that doesn't actually happen in the book. But
Indeed. And that suit doesn't look like the kind of suit that would deliberately hide that
that
figure.
alluring figure
Well,
of...
indeed, as we're often told.
Indeed. One of the women in the book that Cotton Hawes fails to sleep with
Yeah.
because she's happily married, if not paying a ransom. Now, Steve has got hold of my piece of paper now, which has got a note on it. Apparently there was a documentary in 1984, and I don't think it was a South Bank show, but
Melvyn?
Evan Hunter is Ed McBain, which was presented by Melvyn Bragg.
Oh, we need to see
Was
this.
it television or radio?
Television, I think, because I found
good.
Bloody hell.
out about this on the BFI website today, and I cannot. Oh, why is it not on YouTube? Because apparently it's got Ed McBain going around places in New York reading from his books and stuff
Sounds
like that.
amazing.
And the weird coincidence, of course, is that you, Morgan Brown, have your life has had
A personal friendship with
personal
Melvyn
contact
Bragg.
with Melvyn Bragg's family.
Well, it did indeed, yeah. It did, probably still does have a summer house in the village where I grew up. So I've run into him from time to time, and yeah, but I
Never mentioned this though,
No,
did he?
well, exactly, yeah.
Would you have run into him in
Tremendous.
1984?
Almost certainly, actually, yeah.
So in 1984, he didn't think to say to you,
One day
Oh,
you'll be
Morgan
aware of
Brown.
the works of.
yeah, "How nice to see you." I can't do an impression of him. I've not seen him on TV for ages.
My name is Melvyn Bragg, and no, he doesn't sound like that, does he?
It doesn't really, no.
My name.
Went to the same school as me as well.
Yeah, well, yes.
What's the thing he does on Radio 4?
In our time.
In our time. Well,
That's getting it.
Yes. Today on In Our Time, we study the works of Ed McBain and go to New York.
That was getting quite good.
That's good.
That was
But I always talk about Belgian pottery, don't I? Today on In Our Time, we study the Belgian pottery industry of the 15th and 16th century.
Today on In Our Time, we look at the impact of fletching in the Spanish mainland during 1566 to 1588.
There's no end of fun. You can't,
Hello, Morgan.
You can't do it.
I can't do the voice.
Today
Hello,
on In Our
Morgan, you've come
Time.
for tea. I've just interviewed Ed McBain.
Today on
You
In-
are 5.
Today on In Our Time, we study the importance of Monkhouse on the outcome of the Spanish Civil War. Particularly, we focus on Bob's intervention in Valencia in 1936.
Goodness me. Well, if you've ever read Bob Monkhouse's Crying with Laughter, his
Which I just saw over there,
autobiography,
which,
which is an excellent book. But yes, there's dedicates quates again.
It dedicates 17 chapters to Valencia.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I was trying to get out as a joke, but it just didn't work really.
And then a further 13 to Melvyn Bragg.
Okay, well, I think the last order of business for this bonus episode is we didn't really get any questions from our millions and millions of fans and admirers. We got one from
questions, please,
from the lady who's made my table be covered in a jigsaw, and she's given us a twofold question.
Oh, twofold.
And the first question is, and I'm gonna ban the phrase "go to the pub" because that's just too easy an answer. Question one is, what do the team do to de-stress?
Well,
Melvyn Bragg impersonation.
Yeah, that's mainly
apparently
it.
so. Yeah.
I like to
Listen to In Our Time.
Yeah, I like to obsessively research Ed McBain books, looking at the same websites over and over again that haven't changed since 2004. Or play Minecraft when I can be bothered to. I do actually like, for de-stressing, putting on my iTunes library on something like, usually on
You're
Shuffle.
answering this question seriously?
Yeah, well, I'll put it on Shuffle, put Minecraft on, wander around, dig in stuff. So, don't know if anyone else has got any particular de-stress things.
Yeah, In Our Time, reading.
You've got cats, though, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
I imagine that helps.
Melvyn Bragg literature with me cats. Reading it to them.
Well, he's written a lot of books.
Yeah.
So we have to do a Melvyn Bragg podcast. That would be weird.
This is England, but what was that book he did?
My
England.
Speak for England?
Speak for England, yeah.
I think, yeah.
As you can tell, I have not read that book.
No.
But I'm vaguely aware of its existence.
Yeah, my folks used to have it. I don't think you've ever read it either.
Blue with red writing or
that's
orange
right, yeah.
writing on the spine, because my parents had it.
But obviously, if Melvin's listening, they definitely did read it and thought it was brilliant.
Did he sign it?
Didn't he write a lot of books like involving like kind of cottages and people that live in them?
Oh, probably.
You know, and kind of their
Slice of life.
and
Slice
goings.
of life.
I'll take your word for it.
Of cottage life.
His cottaging sequence was
Yeah.
very
A
popular.
great series of cottaging books.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things we all do to de-stress as individuals, but part of our friendship, is we listen to music.
Mm-hmm.
So we, things like go to Iron Maiden gigs together.
Oh, yes,
which
indeed.
Was very, very good. And I do
The
things like
Bellamy Brothers.
What? Where did that come from?
Well, we like to sing along to the Bellamy Brothers.
we do sing on to all sorts. I like to spend £110 on Sergeant Pepper's.
Oh, indeed.
And it was worth every single penny. Are there plans to take the podcast on the road is the follow-up question to that. I think definitely a 65-date tour.
Well, it seems
of
inevitable.
cottages.
It seems inevitable, really, doesn't it?
We could... can you fit everything in that little box there?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, we could, couldn't
Yeah,
we?
well, we have the means. But,
Yeah.
We're on the tour to my house, which is like
yeah, we could do. We
a
could
minute
do.
away.
Yeah, we could do a tour of our own
Our
residence.
respective abodes, yeah.
Yeah, and
That could
then
be good.
and then the Now Hear This podcast festival will pay for us to go to New York.
Naturally.
They definitely won't do that. Okay, and just before we finish, then very quickly, one more first line of a book each.
All right, go on.
from another random selection of sci-fi books off my shelf.
Amazing.
So I'm going to go first this time, and the book I've got from the Compact SF series, it was 3 and 6, is The Symmetrians by Kenneth Harker. One of those books that's clearly so complicated it has to have some description on the front of it. And the opening line of this book from 1966 is, it's from Abbott Road. Sorry, that's just coincidence with my name. I'm going to read this in the voice that, just looking at it, I need to read it in. It was on the day I met Annelena when I was almost 16. I wanted to study my face again in a mirror. I tried during childhood while my father was alive and we farmed root crops on the Drinidir holding in the plain of Berkerbe. I was scalded and the mirror was taken from me. Afterwards, I outgrew the urge. So that's The Symmetrians by Kenneth Hark. Read that.
That's tremendous. I feel like you might have opened a bit of a can of worms by giving me this one, because there's a lot to go on here. It's number 21 in the Heroic Fantasy series.
Wow.
An incredible time-space journey to Dimension X. Richard Blade, Champion of the Gods, by Geoffrey Lord. And the first sentence is actually, there's a little kind of preface to the reader. Mm. Dear reader, adventure number 21, Champion of the Gods, will mark the 10th year that I've been writing of Richard Blade's adventures to other dimensions.
Wow.
You've done well, Geoffrey Lord. Well done.
This is another podcast waiting to happen.
Well, indeed, yeah. But let's just see what he has to say about this first sentence of Richard Blade's adventures. The man called Jay stood in the autumn rain at the Tower of London and waited for Richard Blade. A grey, wet, dismal day in London always made him feel particularly old. When he was waiting on a day when Richard would be taking a trip into Dimension X, he felt even older.
Wow, that's weird, given the cover of the book looks like a fighting fantasy novel, that it would be set in London.
With a slightly misshapen fellow with a head that's a bit too big for the rest of his body.
Sounds good. Steve-O, what have you got there? You've got...
I've got The Syrian Experiments by Doris Lessing. Mm. But it sounds like a documentary because it's got another tagline about some guy maybe called Richard Canopus, maybe. Because it says Canopus in Argos. So perhaps he was making a documentary about the retail chain Argos.
I assume so, yeah.
Kind of in there. Richard Canopus in Argos, you know, seeing the business model.
Yeah.
But yes, it's a first line of 7 words, and it just says, "This is Ambien 2 of the 5."
Ooh, I want to know
and
more.
And it even says that kind of on the front, really.
Mm.
I inherited a lot of these sci-fi books from a friend who did a master's in English and specialised in sci-fi, and clearly the masters in this finished her off because she gave away all these books, and I couldn't let them go to the charity shop because they are amazing looking things, and I will read some more of them definitely over the time. But yeah, gosh, it's an amazing collection of stuff. It's no wonder she didn't want them in the house after spending a year or two with them. Oh, is it a good smell?
Smell level 7.
We haven't established the top end of that scale.
I'll faint.
If you find number 1 in the Heroic Fantasy series, I imagine that's smell level 10.
Let's not subject anyone who's listening to this to any more of this nonsense. I'll put up a photo of these book covers so at least you'll see what rubbish we're talking about. Sorry to any of the authors. I'm sure they're very good, really.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah, one day. So I'll say goodbye again. So Will, Steve-O.
Goodbye.
And Morgan.
Goodbye.
Till Killer's Wedge. Goodbye.